Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Grille. It's the Tier 5 German SPG. It's located on the northeast spawn of Glacier, and this one's under the command of Bigger Stickers. Yes, it's one of my replays, but it's a dual perspective one, because you see that T-34-2G FT? Well, he's the star of this video, in a sense, and you're going to see his replay from his perspective after you've seen my game. Okay, well, I'm headed off into the bushes, not the usual position. I'm actually picking an odd position here, but for a reason. What I want to do is try and, if I can, land a round on the enemy tank as it goes up to the carrier. Now, just earlier today I used an SU-130 PM and hit an enemy tank that went up onto the carrier and smacked him. I got 145 hit points off that T26E3? No, T23E3. And I'm hoping I might be able to hit him as he gets to the top of the ramp. Gonna give it another go. Couldn't see him, but he did go up the ramp. Okay, well, the enemy has turned up near the carrier. There's a King Tiger around there as well. I'm looking to see if I can get a shot on this KV-2R. It'd be very, very difficult, and it's a long range shot, and the trajectory, well, it works, but it wasn't anywhere near him because he actually pulled away just in time. But T23E3 has made a big mistake. He's actually tried to engage the SU-122-44, who's also gone up the ramp. He's actually gone forward to try and shoot him. That's an assault tank destroyer, that one. So, yeah, not a great move. And even if he hadn't, even if he killed the SU-122-44, I would have put a round into him and finished him off anyway. But we found the enemy SU-122-44, and yep, I'm dialing in on him to give him a bit of punishment with my 15cm howitzer. Well, the first round that goes in stuns the Turan and the SU-122-44. Wasn't fully dialed in, but the reason is that I needed to get a round in there quickly to try and stun both of them to stop them killing my teammate who's trapped in the bushes. There's a CS-44 you can just see popping into view every now and then. Yes, he had to go down that slope there to avoid getting killed by the Turan, but he's managed to track the guy, and I'm reloading. 19.4 seconds is the reload time, and just at that moment a KV-1 turns up, so I plop around in there and smack him for 180. Nice bit of stun. Now, I'm not the only RT in the game. There's an M44 on our team as well, and also another player in the Fifi, the 105 Left H18B2. Rounds out on the Super Hellcat, and he takes it for 258. I was hoping if I could land it inside his cockpit and kill all his crew, but it landed on his engine deck instead, so I only got a nominal roll. The KV-1's had enough of it. He's trying to get out of there quick. He realises that this Arty shell's going to continue to rain in until they're dead. And the Turan suddenly realised he's made a bit of a mistake as well, because he's not only facing tank, he's facing Arty. And if he stays where he is going to die. Now, I know that he popped into that little ramp there, and so I'm going to try and put a round in, see if I can catch him. Well, I do, for 129 hit points. He's stunned, he has to pull out, and then the SU-122-44 pops up again. But this time round he's facing two opponents, and he's facing me because I'm going to pop a round into him if I can. Fire a round in. Bit too far forward, actually. I should have aimed back because he was pulling back. And you see that overhang. It's really difficult to get a shell in there. And he's gone into the corner because he knows that it's very difficult. I fired a round in, but it hits the overhang instead. So that's unfortunate. He's gone to an RT safe position there, but unfortunately he can't find a good spot to get in, and he's now facing three tanks. and an Arty, and he's eventually gone. So that's the end of his game. Okay, CS44's having a quick look. In fact, he's shoving the wreck of that Turan off the edge. I think he doesn't like that player a lot. I think he just shoved him off the edge. And at that moment, he got hit. Now, I'm hunting for the KV-1. I'm trying to look round where that KV-1 might be. I'm pretty sure he's still there. If he tried to pull away, he would be spotted. And there he is. He's been found. I'm letting it dial in. Rounds out. And I get a hit for 217 from a near miss. And now the Skoda moves in to get the kill and gets it. Okay. Time for me to move on. Yep. Klaus, I do know the P in SPG stands for propelled. Yep, I'm one of those players. I play my SPG like most people play tanks. Okay, well, we've got a couple of targets here. Cromwell and an M4A1. And we've got to get rid of these guys if our tanks are going to move up. Unfortunately, some of them have actually been the victims of those guys. Well, there goes the Cromwell. He got taken out by our M44. So, good shooting to him. But I'm actually going to go up onto this little ramp here now. And there was a reason for me to do this. You see, the enemy have actually killed all our heavy tanks on the northwest corner of the map, and now I have to defend the cap from this position here. But before I do that, I'm actually going to see if I can put a couple of rounds into the enemy. There's a Wolverine just in that corner, sitting behind the bush. So I'm going to put a round in there. Rounds out. Lands next to where the Wolverine was, but he's not there now. Where's that M4? Where would I be hiding if I was in M4? I'd probably be behind that bush, looking at where my teammates were. So I'm going to put a round in there. No, just an explosion. So maybe he's behind those trees. Could be. That's where the Cromwell was. And it's at this moment the KV-2 suddenly appears, but I'm just about to fire a round in anyway and then switch over to the KV-2R. And this is where our hero in the T-34-2G FT is helping to defend the cap with a Fifi. They killed the KV-2R. And now we've got the OI. Rounds out. Onto his engine deck for 242, tracks him in place. He's nicely stunned, and I'll keep pumping those rounds in to enable my teammates to get the kill. If they don't, I will. Okay, ready? Rounds out. Nice hit there. Okay, just letting the reload go through. He's getting lower on hit points now. In fact, he's getting dangerously close to the edge of that water if he's not careful. Yeah. And their kill goes to our hero again. So that guy has now got 4 kills. Okay, well, I can now devote all my attention to getting nearer to the cap. Now, I aimed around at those trees. I'm going to probably put another one in there. I've got enough ammunition to keep going. Just in case he's there. Now, I haven't tried putting around the other side of those bushes. I know we saw the Wolverine was sitting nearer to the rock to the right, but sometimes tank destroyers change position behind those bushes, but still keep fairly close to them so they can see through them, then pull back before they get the bush mechanic. Still no joy. One more round, I think, just to be sure. Rounds out. It's a relatively short flight time, but the trajectory of the Grille shell is really, really good. Can't bend it around that rock though, so I'm going to have one more shell, I think, into this corner, just in case he's hiding behind that rock but still shooting through the bushes. Okay, well, we've given it a good go. I'm now going to get closer. And hopefully, I'll be able to get a shot on them. Now the problem with moving up on this road is that sometimes you might get spotted, and it's at this moment the T-34-2G on the enemy team's been spotted over the other side of the map, and unfortunately he's just out of range for my Arty, so I'm going to have to move closer if I want to get a shot on him. And this is dangerous bit because I'm actually going out into the open to cut across, but my sixth sense hasn't gone off, so whoever was behind those bushes is not there now, and I've now moved to a position which is nearby, and suddenly the M4A1 comes into view, and yes, he was sitting behind there, and he has lost some hit points, so I might have got some shell damage on him. Looking, I've got the top of his turret, but the shell just zips over the top of the rock. Unfortunately, we lost our Cromwell. And there's the enemy Arty, and yes, they are close enough. So I'm dialing in on the M41 HMC, which is the nearest one to the rock. And the Grille, well, the Grille gets wiped out by our hero, so I'm moving with the M41. Rounds out, here we go. He should be dead, but he gets killed by the Fifi. So I miss out on another kill, but there's the Wolverine. So he was there behind the rock. The CS44 plants him one, and the Wolverine comes around saying, "Oh, I'm gonna get you now." No, you're not, because that's gonna happen. So I've got my first kill in this game. Oh, drove into a wall there. Didn't realise. And don't go through those pools, by the way. They are deep enough to drown you. I've actually went through them the other day in a, thankfully not in an Arty, in a tank, and yes, I found out to my cost that they are very deep. There are parts of them that are shallow, but you go to the deep parts, you really do know you can drown. Okay, so I'm getting close because I know there's still some enemy left. Okay, M44, here we go. Hello, last enemy. Stay there, you varmint. Oh, that was too hasty. Way too hasty. It wasn't fully dialed in. Unfortunately, the M44 killed our CS44, but he's turning around, and I think he might know that there's somebody ahead of him, and he's trying to get around the other side, and yep, that's game over. So let's have a look at the battle from the T-34-2G FT's perspective. And here's the battle for the T-34-2G FT. This is Desdishado, and the T-34-2G FT, which has got the 122mm main gun, 390 Alpha with the standard AP, and with the heat rounds, it'll actually go through 250mm of armour. Sorry, I forgot to mention it's 192mm penetration with the standard. Okay, now he was doing exactly the same that I was doing. He was waiting to get a shot on the enemy tanks as they moved up towards the... Oh, beautiful shot! He was the one who actually stopped the T-23E3 and allowed me to get another round in on him as well. So he actually picked up the damage assistance from my shot. 145 hit points. He got 376 with his initial round, which is a low roll, and then he picked up the additional damage assist for tracking the guy. Okay, the T-34-2G FT, I'm afraid, didn't exist. Never existed. It's a figment of Wargaming's imagination. I suppose that's why they put FT in front of it, Fake Tank, because it never really actually existed at all. But it's actually quite a decent tank destroyer and very comparable to the SU-100 or the SU-122-44, which you're currently seeing going up that ramp towards the carrier. Now an enemy 122-44 has just come into sight, and if you recall, actually I was aiming at those guys as well. So you're about to see Arty rounds coming in to hit those guys in their current position. Okay, there's the targeting signal. Of course, whenever that's a request and I started firing the rounds in, the Turan moved forward. And there's my first round out. Yep, stunned them both. Obviously the SU-122-44 like that slightly less than the Turan. Desdishado's got a really good position here, but he is actually vulnerable to any enemy to the to his right, because that Wolverine might be able to spot him. He's got no shots on the Turan though, because he is behind a rock, and he's going to have to wait for one of them to come sliding down the edge. There's another Arty round hitting the KV-1. Now we've been joined by a Super Hellcat. And yes, he gets smacked by me as well. Desdishado's very eager to get involved. He did tell me that this was the best game he's ever had in this tank destroyer. And there you can see the KV-1's coming down the chine, or the slope there. And it's not a chine actually. It's more just the edge of the perimeter road down the cliff. So he's somewhere in those trees, but we just can't see him at the moment because he's too far away. Turan's still up there. But he's playing that tank wrong, you know, because it is a medium to long range sniper, not a medium tank. It is marked as a medium tank, but if you try and play it as a medium tank, you will get in trouble. And there goes the Turan. It was Desdishado who actually killed him, but he was seen by the Super Hellcat, who's not paying attention. And he gets a lovely shot in on that guy as well. 386 hit points, which is a low roll. He's guessing where the Super Hellcat is now, but he's got his first kill. And there's the Super Hellcat. Trying to go low as quickly as he can. Can he get a shot? Wait for him to come out from behind the building. Looks like he's trying to run away. Arty rounds are following him. Yes! Good hit. 20 hit points is all he got, but he did get a kill. He was seen, so he has to pull back, because otherwise that Wolverine will have him for breakfast. And there goes the SU-122-44. So he's doing well so far. 2 kills. Nothing in sight. Now, I always like that little rise you might spot there. Actually, you know, if there are Arty in the game, that spot can be actually quite dangerous. But if you pop up on there, sometimes you can actually get shots at the enemy tanks when they're engaging each other at the center line. So it can be quite useful. Desdishado's decided he's going to move to a position where he might be able to get shots on the enemy. He saw the KV-1s being attacked. And he's gone. Now, is he going to have another go and see if he can pick up that KV-2? I'm pretty sure that the reason he moved into the center was because the enemy heavies were being pushed back. And he felt that if he can move up here, he might be able to get shots on them as they were forced to retreat. But unfortunately, our VK3001P is down to 9 hit points. And that means that he's probably not going to last very much longer. And there he goes. Right. So the unfortunate news now is that Desdishado has to go back to where he was, and pretty pronto. Now, seeing as it's actually based on a medium tank, it is actually quite fast. It's based on the T-34 medium tank, which is, most people think, is actually based on the Soviet T-34. It's not. It's actually their version of the T-54. Basically, it's a rip-off copy of a T-54, but of course the Chinese actually got the real T-54 from the Soviets, so they didn't have to go ahead and build the T-34-2 or one for that matter, because, well, they got the original. Okay, now he's taken up the same position I used the other day to actually engage the enemy. You remember when I played this position in the Hetzer, and I found out to my cost that it's actually quite an exposed position. But let's see how he gets on. KV2R, low hit points. Tracks him with the first shot. He sees him. Pulls back. Oh, God, he missed that one. Oh, and he's got a long reload. So, yes! Nicely done. But he got stunned. The enemy, Arty, I think, fired in this direction. So he's going to have to try and go defensive, and to do that he's actually getting closer to the rock, and that's good. Put some rock between you and the enemy Arty shells, they can't hit you. Okay, so he's nicely using this corner. OI comes into sight. Remember, it's a 122mm round. He's been spotted again, so he has to hug the rock, pull back, otherwise the OI is going to be sending him an HE round. Now our Fifi just took some damage and he's stunned, but I think that was an enemy Arty. There's the OI turning. Oh, beautiful shot. Takes him out. 405 high roll. And that means now he's got 4 kills. After taking out the KV2 and the OI, where's he going to go? Well, he's thinking about going south, but instead he decides to do something different. He decides to go west, and actually that was a smart move. The reason is, not only has he got the support of the Fifi, the 105 FH18B2, who also has a better view range than him, because of course that Arty has got a view range of 390 meters, so he could probably see further than Desdishado can see. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, by the way. I'm just reading it as it is. Do let me know in the comments if I do get it wrong. But anyway, I hope you enjoy my commentary. I'm not that great at it. We do have a rather lot of videos on our channel, but we don't get that many views. Okay, it's good position because the Fifi could support him. He's a little further back, but remember he's got a very good view range. Now you don't want to get too close to the water, because remember I've seen tanks drop into that water, and once you're in for good. You drown. So you need to be very careful about going close to the edge. But he's moving up. At this point we were engaging the Wolverine and the M4A1. Desdishado spotted the Stug 3G. First shot goes to the left. It is long range, but the Fifi's having a go as well. Hopefully that guy will stay there. He does! Beautiful hit! 418 hit points, high roll. Went right into his engine bay, stopped him dead. The second shot didn't, or third shot didn't go in at all. Okay, there's the Stug 3G dying to the M44. There's an M4A1 to his left. Of course, he's going to get a rather nice surprise when he gets up to the top of the slope. Unfortunately, just lost the Cromwell, taken out by the M4A1. But the M4A1 is himself in tremendous danger. He's just been hit, and that moment he suddenly realised there's Arty to his right. And remember, this moment I'm actually dialing in on these guys. There goes the Grille. He takes a round in the tracks from the Wolverine, and the second round actually hits the engine bay. And he's taken another shot from the Wolverine. The Wolverine was focusing on us. Yep, Desdishado lost 354 hit points. His engine's buggered. And yes, unfortunately, because he's used his repair kit, he's now very, very slow. Pulls up, and unfortunately the Wolverine's already gone by me. Yes, I killed him. So he's still on 5 kills. And he desperately wants to get that top gun. Potentially he's got a high caliber as well, because you look at the top of the screen, you can see there's a little high caliber symbol with a tick against it. The tick means he's got 20% of the enemy hit pool. So he qualifies, just needs to make sure that he's done the most damage by keeping his damage rate up. But he's currently got 2,259, which is Super Unicum standard. So now where is the last enemy? An M44, there he is. He's pulling away. He locked on, but the M44 saw him coming and thought, nope. And he's just shotgun killed the CS44. So he's got 15 seconds to kill the M44. And I was about to shoot at him as well. Remember, I fired and missed. And he does it in style. Takes out the M44, wins the game, and gets the Top Gun to boot. And the Pascucci's as well. So what a great battle that was. Let's have a look at the end of battle results first from my perspective. Yep, well that was a first class tanker for me in the Grille. It's not the first radio I've had in this Grille. In fact, actually it's one of my fallback Artys. I like playing it, just as Talon likes playing it as well. Talon 1958. I managed to get a Bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. I got 16, and I got a Confederate medal for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on my team. At least 6 tanks subsequently taken out by others. My win rate, 4,548. Now, something of interest actually is that Wolverine. Remember all those blind shots I kept firing in? Well, I did hit him at least once and got 201 hit points of damage out of him, and I knocked out his tracks. So I suspect that some of my rounds were actually very close to hitting him. But a nice bit of damage from that game. And if we look at the team score, we can see that I actually came second on damage on my team. In fact, in the game, 1,952 hit points of damage. When it came to kills, I was a little further down the table because there was at least, was it 4? There were 6 people ahead of me, so I was actually joint 7th when it came to the number of kills. And when it came to base XP, though, I was actually in 3rd place because I got 775. Now, if we look at detail, I fired 26 rounds, got 5 direct hits, no penetrations, but 15 splash. Damage of 1,952 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. I earned 51,655 credits, but I did get a 50,000 for completing a mission in events. So technically speaking, I actually only made 1,655 credits for the game. Because if you deduct out the consumables, because remember at this moment I'm still using consumables at full price. I'm waiting for them to bring the consumables in at half price so I can then stock up on them, and then it will increase my profits. I earned 2,325 XP from the game, so it was a fairly comfortable game, fairly good for me. But let's have a look at the end of battle results for our guest visitor. Look at that, beautiful ace tanker, and a first ace tanker at that for Desdishado. He managed to get a fire effect for doing more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle, a Pascucci's for killing 2 enemy SPGs, the Grille and then the M44, a high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game, and a Top Gun for getting at least 6 kills. His win rate for the battle was 6,504, which is Super Unicum standard and a bit more on top. So let's have a look at the team score. Well, you've seen the team scores from my perspective, but from his perspective, it's even better. 2,574 hit points of damage. Definitely the high scorer in this game. Highest number of kills, 6. The next highest was that OI with 4 kills. He was probably killing the heavies on the northwest corner. But when he met the 122mm gun on the T-34-2G FT, yeah, I think that was a big exit time for him. And when it came to base XP, there was only one player who managed to get over 1,000 base, and that was Desdishado with 1,249. The next highest player being the CS44, who fought very bravely to against that Turan, but eventually got taken out of the game by the M44 right at the end. 835 base XP to him, 775 to myself, as you saw. Desdishado fired 14 rounds, got 11 direct hits and 9 penetrations. Damage of 2,574 hit points, of which 1,538 were up more than 300 meters. He received 4 hits during the game. 3 of them were penetrations, 1 non-penetration. Most of those rounds, in fact all of them I believe, actually came from the wall ring. And of course they were very, very dangerous because they did manage to pen him in the spots where he was vulnerable, because he turned to face the Grille. And when he did that, he actually exposed his weak rear armour. And the armour on the rear of that vehicle is not strong enough, certainly not for an M10. So yes, he was easily able to get pens into Desdishado, into his rear. 4 enemy vehicles spotted, 8 enemy vehicles damaged, and 6 were killed, and 927 hit points of damage assist. Now that was damage assist because most of the time he was tracking the guys, and obviously other people were then getting the benefit. I actually was one that benefited because when he tracked that enemy tank that was going up onto the carrier, I managed to get a piece of him as well. On a free-to-play account, he earned 30,913 credits, and after repair, he actually ended up with 27,338 credits profit. He also earned 1,249 base XP, got ×2 for the first victory, 9,000 for completing a mission and events, and took away a whopping great 11,498 experience points altogether. So a particularly good game for Desdishado, not a bad game for myself either, getting a Confederate, but I thought it was a video that was worthy of, or replay that was worthy of a video, simply because this was a first ace tanker, and because he did so well to get all those kills and help the team win. In fact, actually, if he hadn't actually been available, then I think we would have had a bit of trouble with that OI, because although I could have smacked him for a couple of hundred hit points each shot, he might have been able to get close enough to do a lot of damage. So I'm very pleased that he was there, and of course without his shot, without Desdishado's shot, I wouldn't have been able to get that piece of the enemy as he was going up the T-34-2G as he was going up the ramp towards the carrier. So a really good game. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give your appreciation and give it a tick and say thank you. Oh, don't say thank you, just give it a tick. Leave a comment down below, and thank you very much indeed for watching.